All right, for our section, we need to set a width. I will say width, colon, not sure about this number. Probably not going to be exactly what I want. We'll see in a few minutes. So there it is. There's my width for my section. Let's change its height. To the same thing as our aside. There it is. Let's give it margin like we did for everything else. 0, 0, 10 pixels on the bottom, 0 on the right. See what that does. I give it a little bottom margin there. Adding 10 pixels inside of it, just like we did for everything else. And these can all be adjusted, but remember, things are starting to interlock and have, so my padding, we're going to do this here in just a second. There's my padding. All right, so the question now becomes, I have 960 pixels. And I picked 960 for a reason. 960 is a very common width for a web page because later on we're going to learn how to use a lot of columns. And 960 is divisible by a lot of things. Divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16. It's got a lot of easily divisible properties. But we haven't done the magic yet. The magic has not happened yet. We're getting ready to do that right now. And that magic is the floats. So we're going to tell the aside to float left. And we're going to tell the section to float right. If you remember those from last week. And we will refresh it, and boom, there we go. All right, now we have too much margin in here. We got too much space in there. Plus, we have another problem. Our footer's all whopper-jawed here. Okay, why is that? Well, let's see if we can take care of that. We learned about clear last week. We're going to tell our, so we have a float left and a float right, so we're going to tell our footer to clear both of those. There our footer gets, we'll do more with our footer later. But if we looked at our aside and our section, we determined that our side, 200 pixels, plus 10 pixels on each side for padding, that's 220. 10 pixels margin on the right, that's 230. So 230 for our aside. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget it. This is the part we should have planned ahead. But what fun is that? 230 pixels. Now let's look at our section. It is 680 pixels. 10 pixels of padding on each side. That takes it to 700. So we've added up to 930 instead of 940. Excuse me, 930 when we need to add up to 960. So I am going to add, let's bump this up to 700. Make that a little bit wider. That might make, only wanted 10 pixels between these. There we go. That looks pretty good. That's a little more like it. And now we have the 10 pixels margin from our side, and our green but right up and fills up the rest. If we add them up, they'll all add up to 960, and we should be good to go now. All right, so there's my page layout. My footer, I don't think I have a whole lot more to tell you on that one. Let's do some padding on it. That makes that look pretty good. I don't know that we need a whole lot more on that. Now, we don't have any content on the page. We just basically did the layout. And the key was paying attention to our widths, paying attention that the things add up to the size of their parent container, and the parent container in this case was 960 pixels wide. Even if I take the page out to 2000 pixels wide, the page itself stays in that 960 pixel range. Our footer fills its space, the nav bar fills its space, the header fills its space, and the aside and section together, aside floated left, section floated right, gives us the columns on our page. So your assignment is to apply columns to your page. I want your page to look like this. Have a header section. It can just have text in it. You could have a picture. You could have a background picture, whatever you want. Okay. It's good to use these colors. Everything's a different color, but when I'm ultimately done with my page, that may not be true. I might get rid of background color yellow, and I might get rid of background color green, and I might get rid of background color purple, right? And just let the other background float in, and my content will still be laid out in nice columns that are easy to read. But start out with your colors set to different things so you can see where one thing starts and another thing stops.